All right, folks. Well, you're in for a treat when you hear that tune, because it's time for episode 655 of the RecPoker podcast. This is our weekly chats edition, but we also have a weekly forums edition. It's all about poker strategy. I'm your host for both. My name is Jim Reid. I go by Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on socials. I have the best freaking job in the world, talking poker with my friends every Monday night on the RecPoker podcast at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. You can join us for free and win a prize just for showing up. Now we're going to speak to Blaise Bourgeois in just a moment, and Blaise will tell me if I'm getting that correctly or not. But first, I'm proud to share that we're brought to you by Running Aces. They are the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. Most of what we do here is free, and all it takes to join our community is an email address and a smile, although we do insist on both. And since we're a largely volunteer-based organization, we really depend on support from our sponsors and from our premium members who take part in our training materials and study opportunities for only $22 a month. And I'd encourage you to give us a try. You can get your first month of premium membership for $5 by using the code RecPoker at checkout. And if $5 feels like a lot of money, brother, I gotcha. Just make a donation of any amount to your local food bank and send us the receipt, and we'll happily send you back your first month of premium membership here for free as a way of saying thanks. Now, you get used to hearing my voice because they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man. It takes a group, a gang, a village, a crew to make all the magic happen around here. We call our group of wizards the RECing Crew. And if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, you go to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here tonight on the show, starting with producer Rob Gardner. Rob, what have you been getting up to this week, my man?
What's going on, buddy? This is my first appearance on the pod as not a guest. So this is kind of nice. I'm excited about it. Things are going well. I've been on the content grind, so been churning out tons of content on the socials and YouTube, and working on a top secret project. Maybe we'll talk about in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been good. I've been having a lot of fun enjoying the 8 inches of snow that we got last night, and just cranking away. What about you, my friend? I'm guessing you're a little angsty heading into week 1 of the NFL playoffs.
No, I definitely am. It's been a bad month for Steelers fans. But this week for me was all about my day job, actually. One of my fun contracts that I get every year is setting up Christmas displays at malls and offices around Southern Ontario. And this past week, I had to play the Grinch and take down all the Christmas stuff. And so that was me and a few friends of mine just going around to various malls and office buildings in Toronto and at the GTA and just taking all the fun Christmas stuff down. It breaks my heart to do it every year, but it is part of it. There's a cycle to these things. Joe Coolis, what about you? What have you been getting up to recently? I understand you had some opportunities to, create some dreams and break some hearts?
Yeah, well, it's more, make dreams come true and crush souls. The beginning of the year is always when we choose our fellows within our postdoctoral program. So I get to make phone calls to people that some of whom are very, very excited to hear from me, and some of whom I have to tell that we're not really going to choose them. So it's a good bad time for me. The beginning of the year every year.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, a lot of tough decisions there, I'm sure, and it's difficult to decide who is and who isn't gonna get their seat at the table. So I'm sure you're losing some sleep over in it and making.
Well, it's not always that hard to choose. It's hard to call people up and say, "Wow, you're good," but not for us.
You don't bust out the Seinfeld "No soup for you" voice and just like.
I don't want to get sued.
Nice. Yeah. Good choice. What about you, John Somsky? It's always a pleasure having you on the show. One of the OGs of the RECing Crew. What have you been getting up to?
For me, it's all about the end of year, beginning of year bookkeeping. So, getting all of the Tournament of Champions that we had last year, that's all put away in the bag. And now I'm setting up everything for this year to keep the home games running.
It's a lot of work. It's amazing. I think we ran almost 500 home games last year. Maybe that. No, hold on.
It's going to be a little. Usually it's around 450, but last year for a while we were not running them on every day of the week. We were not running Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. So it'll it'll come back up. And actually, after we get our Tournament of Champions for December, which happens on the 13th of January, I will create a year in review post, which will kind of give you an overview of the numbers, who played the most games, who had the best ROI throughout the year, all of those types of good things. So you can look forward to that in a week or two.
All right. Yeah. And of course, it is the end of the year. So I've been going through, and, people might not know, but our RECing Crew membership, the folks that come in and make all the magic happen over here, we all kind of take some of the membership revenue from RecPoker and put that into a staking pool for one of our RECing Crew members to go off and represent us in the WSOP this year. So I've been putting together those reports, and pretty soon we're going to be choosing who's our champion for this year. So I'm excited for that. January is such a fun time. All sorts of, as my wife likes to say, a whole new year with no mistakes in it yet. So
you get to make dreams come true and crush souls as well.
Yes, I mean, I'll be
get to make one dream come true.
Yeah,
and make a lot of souls crush.
They go on and crush the souls. So that's the best part about that.
Everybody does it. We just don't always admit
it. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm excited. We're going to be speaking to Blaise Bourgeois. Now, Blaise, thank you, first of all, for coming in and joining us here on the show. I had the pleasure of meeting you in Vegas over the summer in the Poker Org Lounge. My first question, how am I doing? Is it Bourgeois? It's such a beautifully written name. I want to make sure I'm nailing the pronunciation.
I appreciate it. You've pretty much nailed it. Blaise Bourgeois. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, well, it was only a matter of time. So the first question I like to ask every guest is, without me kind of putting you in a box, if our audience doesn't know who's this Blaise character, how do you kind of define your own role in the poker world today?
Well, currently I'm the lead poker editor at Clickout Media. We own a few websites in the poker industry, so you'll probably see my name on some articles here and there, and I'm editing a lot of them. But who I am in the poker world, I mean, I'm just a chill guy, man. I'm just always laughing, always smiling. I'm just trying to have a good time and enjoy the world. Like, I'm in a privileged position to make great money doing what I love, and I still get to play 1 or 2 series live a month. I get to grind online and just trying to move up as high stake as possible. I started out chatting away on Twitter when I was in like $3 and $5 stakes, and now I get to play all these big series. Like I just played an EPT main. I played the WSOP main this past summer. I'm, playing 1Ks, 2Ks pretty regularly now. And yeah, in short, I'm just trying to have a good time, make friends, eat great food, and have a drink on the beach as much as possible, man.
I love it, man. Well, you're definitely doing something right. We're going to talk to Blaise about traveling the world, playing poker in different countries, being an international, globe-trotting poker player. We got a whole bunch of fun stuff. We're going to talk about soccer. We're going to talk about the poker industry and writing and editing, and some of his goals for the future. So I just want to invite our YouTube chatters, if you're here watching the show live, feel free to type any questions for Blaise into the YouTube chat here. Of course, we're also looking for stake study stack names so that we can put them on the spot later in the show. And of course, we're going to do our food bank raffle near the end of the interview. So stick around to the end of the interview so you can win a fantastic prize just for being here. And again, I'll just mention that we love supporting food banks here on the show. So if anyone wants to make a donation through a super chat, we'll share a portion of all our YouTube donations with a local food bank as well. So if you're here watching live, get active in the YouTube chat, and it'll be a lot of fun. So let's talk about this whole globetrotting idea. So you grew up in New York. You kind of learned to play poker in America, but several years ago you decided to make the switch. You moved down to Brazil, and you've been kind of moving around since then. So my first question to you is, like, why Brazil specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
what are the kind of factors that you look at when you're considering, okay, I'm leaving the States, I'm going to play poker professionally. How do you choose where to go, and what do you consider when you're making that decision?
Cool. So the story actually goes a little beyond that. in 2019, I was kind of in a rut, but I started working this editor position for a pretty well-known soccer app. It was the first remote job I ever had. So I had a few opportunities to move around for the first time. It was the first time I was actually making money I could save. So, I figured out pretty quickly, anytime I left the States, I was just way happier. So in November 2019, August 2019, for my 30th birthday, I decided a day before or 2 days before my birthday, I was going to go down to Mexico for a couple weeks, tacos, tequila, have a good time. Who knows what's going to happen? So I do that. And I told my roommate at the time, if I come back just happy as a clam, I'm going to give you 3 months notice and I'm just going to figure out something, get out of here. So sure enough, it turned into a whole venture where went to Mexico, ran into some people I already knew while I was actually down there, and followed them to Costa Rica. Two weeks turned into a month. I come back. I'm like, yeah, brother, I'm out of here. So November 2019, I leave, and then I'm going to Peru and Colombia and a couple other places. And it was when I was in Colombia when the COVID pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
So up until that point, poker was kind of a bit of a hobby. So I wasn't taking it seriously at all. I'd play, fire a couple tournaments here and there, but it was starting to grow already. It was something I found myself enjoying. I had been out of playing soccer for a while, and I still had that competitive drive. I was actually going through a rugby injury at the time, so I was really, not doing many athletic things. So when the pandemic happened, I was stuck in a hotel room for 3 months, not allowed to go outside, stuck in Medellin for 6 months, barely able to do anything. And, first week, I was like, I'm going to take $1,000. I'm going to buy a poker course. I'm going to study, and I'm actually going to, let's see if I can take this seriously for a while. And sure enough, first day of studying, I binked something the next day for $1K and a $6 tournament. So immediately paid off, and just kind of got rolling. Then to follow up, how I decide where I'm going at the time. Early on when I was traveling, it'd just be hey, what's a good deal? What do they got? Is the weather nice? Does it look good? All right, cool. Is food good? I'll go there. But when it came to Brazil in the end of 22, I was dating my former girlfriend. She was half Peruvian, half Brazilian. So I wanted to be somewhere where I could start my poker career, and it was really between Malta and Brazil. And when I went to Malta, it was kind of they got really tiny dailies going on. I thought the casinos would be offering more stuff. I didn't like the vibe over there. It was centrally located, short flight to any casino. You want to go to Asia, you want to go to England, you want to go wherever. It's perfectly located, great internet, the whole shebang. But Paradise sounded a lot better than that. And Brazil's poker scene is cutthroat as well. It's the most fun you'll ever have, but at the same time, there's some of the toughest players in the world, and I'm like, if I'm gonna go get a real life poker education, I'm gonna go down there. And so did that for 1.5 years. I forgot the other follow-up questions you had.
No, that's it. This is exactly what I wanted. Sort of just to get a sense of how you choose where you spend your time. So it sounds like for you, poker is really kind of the excuse to travel, and you want to go find new places, and it's more where's the deal, where's the destination you want to go to, and can we shoehorn some poker into this to make it happen? Is that fair? You seem like someone who enjoys the enjoyment of life.
So that's how it started, and now there's more of a shift where I'm going places for the poker, but I still want to enjoy everything else that's around me. Now that the poker's becoming a bit more serious, I'm actually looking more, instead of trying to find this little, 100K poker tour in Paraguay. Now I'm looking, well, I think I can go play some EPT. So let's go to the EPT, But I'm still making room for, like, I'm still looking at stuff like, Kings of Tallinn in Estonia. Well, there's one in Liechtenstein, or I could go to Cherokee, maybe I got some business to take care of at home, go see some friends for a bit and then head down there. So it's, when it comes to like the final decision, it's more of like, fuck it. Let's just
Yeah.
just pick one spot and go.
I love it, man. That's great. Well, it's just we had a little trouble with the YouTube getting loaded here, so I just want to remind our YouTube chatters, if you've got any questions for Blaise, pop them in the chat there. And of course, we're also looking for some names of folks to play Stake Study Stack. Joe Coolis, you had a question, I think, before we got off there.
So we get a lot of poker players who actually do make the travel from place to place, and they have lots of great stories about how fun everything is and so on. But I've traveled before. I mean, not everything about travel is fun. My question is, what's the biggest moment of cultural adjustment or culture shock that you've experienced going to Costa Rica and then to Colombia and then Brazil and so on? What did you come into contact with that you didn't like so much about travel?
So my Spanish has always been pretty good, and I lived in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries when I was, in Latin America before Brazil. So I didn't really have that much trouble with Spanish, but the Portuguese in Brazil, that took, a while to get used to, and I'm still getting used to it now. I like to laugh. I like to talk. I like to shit talk in a joking way a lot. I like to have a good time. But when you don't know how to do those things, for like the better part of the first 6 to 9 months while I was playing down there, plus I'm playing a much more difficult player base than I had been used to in the past, all at the same time while being this lone gringo in fields just full of South Americans. And that was a bit intimidating. It made me a very quiet person who's just observing, and I'm not the one that's just sitting on the fence observing a lot. I like to, mingle and be in the middle of the action. But luckily, the Brazilians are just about as warm and welcoming as people as I've ever met on this whole planet. So like when I showed up to the second stop and people were like, "Oh, he's back," it was immediately, them looking Google Translate. "You like beer?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, bro, let's go." And from then on, it was great. But having to get used to languages and just being the outsider can be tough. But luckily, they speak English in a lot of the world, so it's a lot easier over here in Europe, that's for sure. But that's the hardest adjustment.
In a more serious question, so when you were in Brazil, Bolsonaro was in power for a period of time during COVID, and then suddenly left. Were you there during that period? Or did you experience a lot of, because there was some street violence and there were some concerns that he wasn't going to give up power, so it wasn't quite as happy a place.
No, I was actually there as after Lula came into power, and he had been in there for about 6 months. So I actually missed all that. I was where I was living in Brazil. It was really in the north, where it's typically a vacation destination, and it's just a little, basically not an island paradise, but right on the coast where everyone's just like surfing, chilling. So there's not a lot of tension. It's almost the same day happening every single day over there for 2 decades, except when the World Cup was going on.
Just kind of in a follow-up in a similar vein. So Carlos Welch talked about when he would go down to the Dominican Republic, sometimes it was harder for him to gamble because he knew that the people sometimes were gambling with a larger percentage of their roll because of it. Do you experience that in Brazil or in some of the other places that you go, or is because you're in the resort places, it's still kind of isolated from those issues?
So Brazil's a really interesting place to play poker because minimum wage over there is like under $300 a month. So there you do have there's a large online large online poker teams and communities over there where, like, you know, there's players grinding 1s and 2s and 3s and trying to savvy, you know, online into a live thing that's like, yeah, $100 bullet, and it's like the biggest tournament of their life, where, you know, for, you know, most American players nowadays, if you went to $100 tournament, you're just there to drink, you're just trying to have a good time, you're not taking it seriously. So poker in Brazil is where, yeah, if you're playing at these tournaments, yeah, on BSOP or KSOP, like the whole population there pretty much has money. It's a weird thing. Like the wealth gap is just so huge over there. So it's really kind of an exclusive event where it does feel a little bit, I'm forgetting the word, but it feels a little bit where you're in a pretty rich crowd, and, you know, there are smaller tours out there as well. Like there's the Northeast Poker Tour, and then you've got your, you know, every state pretty much has their own like cup competition and pretty much every tour does like 5 tour stops, whether it's just in the local card room or the Northeast, or for BSOP and KSOP, and they all have, you know, different buy-in levels. Like the one nearest my house would be like an hour away. They've got $20 tournaments and $30 tournaments, and, you know, $80 main events and $180 high rollers, stuff like that. Whereas, you know, you go to BSOP, the smallest buy-in there is probably, yeah, $100, $150. So, yeah, I mean, you can play poker with people of all skill levels, all financial levels, and it's a great time. And everybody's there for the same reason. They're enjoying it. They're loving life. They're there to drink. They're there to be with their friends. And if they are using a little bit more of their money than what they should be, yeah, it's like the States, you know, it's the same thing. They know what they're doing. They're there for the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about sort of like the highs and lows of being a globetrotter poker player. I think we've already hit on a lot of the highs. You've done a good job, you know, expressing how the freedom and kind of like, you know, following your heart and having like, you know, a very flexible schedule, and like a lot of that stuff is great. What are some of the downsides? What are some of the things that kind of irritate you or you find frustrating about this role that you've taken on over the last several years?
I hate packing, man.
Yep.
I hate
packing or unpacking. Which one's worse?
Unpacking's easy. You just take it out of your bag. It's getting stuff, you know, making sure everything's clean and washed and folded, and, you know, making sure you're not packing too much. And do I got this? Do I got that? Like, honestly, it goes beyond like the stress of making a schedule and and choosing where to go, like the packing, and then getting to the airport, waiting in lines. I mean, I don't like to wait. Shit. The airports are the only places on this earth where, yeah, I gotta get there early, and then I gotta just hang around for a couple hours doing nothing. You know, that's probably the worst part of it, is all this time where it's you don't have enough time to do anything constructive, but you got too much time to just, you know, not make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. Well, we only have so many hours on this earth, you know. Like, you want to make the most out of the time that you've got. I get that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, enjoy every minute. Listen. This is what I always say about playing poker. You better be either having the time of your life or making a bunch of money. Otherwise, like, find something else that's fun to do with your time. Like, and I think that applies to everything in your life. Like, you know, we all have a little control over how we spend our time. So spend your time wisely. So packing, what's one item that we would be surprised that you like can't live without when you're packing for a poker trip? What's one sort of like unusual, this is just for Blaise, just making sure he's got himself covered? One like creature comfort or
I will grab this.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get an appearance. If you're listening in on the audio version, come check out the YouTube channel here. All right, what do we got, boss?
I gotta have my moo-moos with me, man. I gotta have my slippers.
Nice.
These are the most comfy thing. I get out of a session. I'm looking forward to getting home in these bad boys.
Yeah, I like that. That's a strong choice. I'm a slippers guy as well. And there's something just nice about not being barefoot or stocking feet, you know, around the house. Maybe you got like a cold tile floor or something. Come on, give yourself a break. Get into those slippers. I love it. Those are very handsome, by the way.
Yeah, my girlfriend got them for me. Actually, they're pretty great. I didn't even know they made memory foam slippers. Changed my life. Yeah, if the casino let me, you know, walk around barefoot all day, I'd probably do that. I'm just, yep. I'll play poker in like a hoodie, a pair of jeans, and then flip flops. You know,
nice.
Once you live near the beach for so long, shoes feel like I can't do sneakers anymore. I hate it.
Are there any other kind of changes in your lifestyle that you have that you can kind of lay at the feet of your traveling life for the last little while? No shoes, and what else?
Probably just walking around topless all day, I guess. I think that comes with working from home as well. I think it's a little column A, a little column B, you know?
Nice. All right. I like it. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. These interviews are more usually about sort of getting to know you. But we had some questions from some of our members earlier. You play in a number of different countries. You've played all over the world. You've played online. You've played live. Sometimes when people are talking about hands or they're sharing details from a hand, you know, they try and make some assumptions about the other players in the hand. And sometimes all you have to go on is like the country that they're located in from the online listing, or you're at the table and you get an accent and you get a sense, oh, this person's from this part of the world. Are there, in your experience, sort of like regional playing styles, or like, you know, some people from some areas are more aggressive and some people from some areas are more passive, or like, is it part of how you exploit players at the table when you have very little information? Is it how much does that come up?
Almost never, to be honest. Almost never. Like, a solid player is going to be a solid player. A bad player is going to be a bad player. Recreational, I shouldn't say bad, but a recreational is going to be a recreational.
Bad players are bad players. Not recreational players are bad players, but there's no problem.
Correct.
You know, nothing wrong with being a bad player, nothing wrong with being a recreational player, but they're not always the same thing. But yes, I take your point.
Yes. Maybe one, like, if, you know, gun to my head deciding factor, maybe like Brazilians, they might be a little more aggressive than other players, but like, I think that's about it. Otherwise, I really don't.
And so let me ask you then, while you're playing, because, you know, when you're playing in international series and that kind of thing, it's not like you're at the same home game club every weekend playing with the same people. You're often playing with unknown players. So how do you decide sort of like, how am I going to label this player? Well, how am I going to think about what errors this player makes and how can I exploit them?
Show up in level 1. Get as much information as you can. Be observant, just especially from the beginning. Like, if a player is limping from level 1, you can just be like, all right, we've got somebody we can at least exploit in some way, but you got to see, are they a passive limper? Are they an aggressive player afterwards? But they're not going to be as defined. They're not going to find super tough bluffs. And then, over the course of, an hour and a half, you're going to be able to see some hands face up. You want to being able to see the cards face up at showdown and interpret in your mind how they played the hand. Was it sound? Was it not? Really paying attention from the beginning is really how you're going to be able to settle in and, have a good session.
I like that. So I just want to take a second here. We're going to talk to Blaise about soccer afterwards, which I'm pretty excited about. And I just want to take a minute here to thank all our premium members and the folks that have gone and supported our Patreon channel. Most of what we do here is free, like I say, but we love the folks that have decided to take that next step and help support us with our premium membership. We do all sorts of great stuff here as well, worth the $22 a month. And if you don't have as much time to actively study, I'll just shout out our Patreon membership. If you go there for $10 a month, you can get an audio version of pretty much every training video that we put out every month. So you can just kind of listen on the go as you're painting the house, driving, washing the dishes, that kind of thing. Some of our stuff is more visually oriented, but there's a lot of great content there on the audio side. It helps us out a lot. So if folks want to help us out, they can go to rec.poker/support and find some great ways to support our journey and also support some causes that are important to different RecPoker Crew members. So Blaise, so you have you're an athlete. You talked about rugby and soccer. I know you played soccer very seriously in school and even in a semi-pro league after that. Are we supposed to be calling it soccer? Do you have to call it football because you're over in Birmingham now? How does that work? What are the laws and customs on that?
I don't know what I'm contractually obligated to do anymore, to be fair. Do I have to call it football now? She's got her AirPods in. I've been calling it football for a while anyway, but I don't care. I'm American. We can call it soccer.
And was that like your favorite sport growing up, like in house leagues and stuff as well?
So it was the sport I was always best at, but I love playing basketball, man. When I'm in a foreign country, and they don't have a hoop around, we didn't have a hoop around in my little neighborhood of Brazil. I was contemplating importing a hoop and getting permission from the town to install it in a public park. You know what I mean? There's nothing like shooting some hoops by yourself sometimes. So, but no, I played soccer at a pretty high level from time I was 4 or 5 years old until maybe I was 13, and I actually had a weird soccer journey. I didn't play in high school, believe it or not. I didn't appreciate the coaching staff, and I had some personal issues with them. So I would play in all the travel leagues, and I would play varsity volleyball instead, even though I was probably about 5'0" at the time. I had incredible hops, and I could dig a ball like no other. So I played that. It was actually some of the most fun I ever had in my life. And then I got back into it in my own time at about 18. Started picking up seriously again. Played semi-pro when I was 19 and got hurt. Couldn't dropped out of community college, couldn't do nothing for about a year and a half. And I was in a place where nothing was really going for me. I didn't really have any outlook on life, didn't have any future plans, wasn't in shape, didn't like how life was going. So kind of once I healed up, I started applying to every school possible, got back in my community college, went to the gym every day, played soccer every day, emailed every single coach in New York State, really. hoping somebody had an open roster spot for somebody who had never played in high school, And fortunately, I found a 1-win team near New York City to go play for. And sure enough, that was the greatest decision I ever made, going over to SUNY Purchase, man. That school really kind of made me who I am. And I hadn't played a competitive match in 3 years before my first match over there. And I think I had like 7 in my first 4. It was crazy. But set the school record for goals in a season my first year. Had a pretty good second year as well. Got hurt the whole second half of the year, so didn't really get to play too much. And then, I was playing semi-pro in Florida for a season. Third year I got hurt. As my senior season, I was basically hurt the whole year, which is really unfortunate because I was on a few draft boards as being like a rare D3 player that could come out and get drafted in the MLS, and then that just never happened. So I still got a few open tryouts with a couple teams here, a few teams overseas, and then I kind of I went and worked in a restaurant for 6 months before I said I should go back to school. Went and got a master's in sport management, sports analytics. Did some stuff with the football club at St. John's, and had another few dabbles at the pro game as well, and got out of there and started working for NBC. I did stuff for the Olympics. I've been with them for the last 3 Olympics, actually, including this past summer, doing their all their soccer research and stats. And I do their I'm basically the right-hand man for the commentators as well. So this whole summer I was with Tim Howard, the old U.S. and Manchester United goalkeeper, basically making them sound smart, on air. If something happens, I'm the one like, hey, this guy has done, he's converted over 75% of his passes in his last 10 games, that kind of thing. But I got a job with them, and then I was able to parlay that into working for their Premier League on NBC team for a little bit, operating their little score bug, which is the on-screen scoreboard. And then I became the director of our local pro soccer team as well. I actually got into a match once when they had too many injuries. It was actually pretty funny because I hadn't laced up in a while. Just emergency. It was pretty funny. But but that job was horrible. I left that after a while. I drove Uber for a hot minute, and then I got this gig writing about soccer for 4 years, which is actually how all this started.
That's amazing. I was going to ask, so we've got a couple comments here. So my mom, who's never misses a show in the YouTube chat, says bare feet rule. So you've got 1 fan already. So 2 fans in the Reid family, Blaise, already. And it sounds like you really found a home in the soccer industry after playing. But for a while there, when you're in a position like that where you've got some prospects and like an injury or a series of injuries take you down, that's so out of your control. It's so frustrating. Did you have some kind of like some frustration in your heart about what was available to you and had been taken away from you as a professional athlete?
Yeah, man, I was sad as shit. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. That was probably one of the hardest times in my life. At that point, I was studying math and computer science in school, but really I was going to school to play. That was like number one. I was skipping class left and right, with permission, of course, because I had games all, with the college and, doing all these combines, during school hours and, going down to Florida to play a whole month before the semester ends. You dedicate your life to something and you just, hit the brick wall, so to speak, and you need to do something else, especially when you have no money and you're in your 20s and you really haven't focused on anything else. That was really tough. Can't lie.
Yeah. No. But it sounds like it really did lead you into these other areas of the industry that you found very fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, there's a series of lucky bounces I got along the way. Just like I had a so-so GPA, like a 2.6 or something, which is not bad, but it's not great when I came out. And luckily, I knew somebody that knew somebody who could give somebody a nudge at St. John's. Like, hey, if you got a close call, this guy would get in your program. And luckily, I was like the last one admitted there. But when you're given those opportunities, you got to take full advantage of them. So, I mean, every time I've ever been given an opportunity, that's what I feel like I do. So I think life's you got to get lucky in life a lot of the time, but it's when you get those moments, you really got to pounce on them.
Yeah. What's that line? Luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation, right? So making the most out of it, setting yourself up. It sounds like you've been doing a good job with that. Joe Coolis, you had some questions kind of about that part of Blaise's life.
Yeah, I guess the first question is, what was it that allowed you to move into something that's a little bit more mundane, like journalism or reporting on somebody else's play, rather than actually being involved in the day-to-day? I think that just, analytics and so on is very important, and a lot of teams want it, but it's not exactly what you got into soccer to play. So how did you make that transition without just saying, well, I'm really hoping is that they'll call me in and let me play a little bit more?
Because I was broke, I needed a paycheck. But no, I never ever intended on writing and journalism ever being a part of my life, and it really kind of snuck into my life where I just kind of realized, shit, I'm kind of good at this. I took one sports writing class in undergrad just because I thought it'd be an easy A, which, it did end up being an easy A. But then my professor was like, hey, I think you may have something here. I know somebody with a summer internship. Why don't you do that? And so I wrote about harness racing in New Jersey for like the Hambletonian, which I guess is their Kentucky Derby of harness racing. So I did that. And then during grad school at one point, I worked for the CUNYAC conference, which is like a D3 conference of schools. So I did that for a while. I would do a bunch of their written collaterals. I would do interviews with some of the players and the coaches. And then that turned into a PA job at Bleacher Report, and which I thought, whoa, this is the coolest thing. But I was also getting paid $10 an hour under the table, in New York City, mind you. And it just kind of got to be one of those things where it kind of snuck up. And after the Olympics gig, I was, that was the most writing organizing my writing I had ever done in my life. And, the way I got the director job with this professional team is literally my brother was working for the radio station, the local radio station downtown. And I wanted to go because they had free food and free drinks. So I show up, and the head honchos from the soccer team was there. And I guess they had heard rumblings about me working the Olympics. So they started to just chat and like, we want to interview you tomorrow. And so that's how that happened. And, so one writing thing just kind of bounced into another. And then when the season ended, when the team actually ended up folding, I was going to quit anyway. So I started Uber driving, but I also happened to be one of the top fantasy soccer players in the world at the time. It was just like,
that's cool.
Just weird. So I started writing about it, and somebody saw my blog and was like, hey, I'm like via LinkedIn, like, you want to, like, I know somebody who needs somebody for a job. And literally that's how I got the remote writing job, which let me start doing everything else.
Very cool. Well,
so money's the answer.
Yeah, money's the answer. Yeah, Joe, did you have a follow-up there?
Just real quick. So if you were given, a genie came down and said, I can grant you a number of years of playing soccer again versus your current career, right? And all the things that you've accomplished since then. How many years of soccer playing would you trade for what you've experienced up to this point?
I wouldn't play because going to practice sounds like the worst fucking thing I could possibly do right now. I'm done, man. I'm 35. I don't want to go back and get a whistle blown at me every day. Nah, I'm done with that. I'm chilling. I love my life.
So, Blaise, you and I have something in common. You've done like statistician stuff for someone famous in Tim Howard. I do statistician stuff for someone famous named Jim Reid. And he brings me in to keep track of stats. And one of the things that we have here at RecPoker is we have the scoreboard, which is basically tracking. It's kind of our personal ended mob of all of our premium members at RecPoker. And we just finished up our 2024. We only tracked from August through December because we just started this program in August. And we get to officially report now that our members cashed for $237,000 in tournament finishes, 328 final tables, 175 podiums, and 81 trophies. So a really, really cool year. We're aiming for $1 million in 2025. So Jim's going to play the main event this year. We figure he can get to day 6 and just knock that out for us right out of the gate.
Need 6 figures this year. That's the
we'll
plan.
be good to go.
Yeah, that's very cool, Rob. I love that. That's amazing to see, even just over those few months, to have like, $28,000, $30,000, $70,000 December for RecPoker Premium members. I mean, that's amazing. I love to see it. That's so
super cool.
Yeah, great idea putting that together, Rob. So yeah, if you're a RecPoker Premium member, get active in our Discord. There is a place there for the scoreboard where you can enter any of your winnings from month to month and get some shout outs and help show the world how great our community is. All right, so you talked about kind of like pivoting to journalism, and you've taken that into the poker industry as well. You talked about editing at, I'm sorry, what was the site again that you're working on predominantly now?
So the conglomerate is known as Clickout Media, but we do stuff for Poker Scout. We just acquired Card Player, and we've got a lot more stuff on the horizon as well.
Nice.
A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there that unfortunately I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but keep an eye on them. I think they're going to be a major player in poker in the very near future.
That's very cool, and we won't make you break any of your vows of silence at this point. But maybe we'll have you back on sometime later in the year. We can crow a little about what's going on there. Tangent. Is there a guy named John Scanlon as part of that group at all? He and I were chatting in Vegas this December. He sounded like he was on a similar trajectory with some of those names that you're talking about, but figured I would just fire it out there and see.
The name does actually sound familiar, but I can't. I'm more of a face guy than a name guy, man.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, that's cool. So, and I know you've also been doing some writing for Poker.org, which is a great media organization that I'm involved with as well on their player advisory board. What has it been a smooth transition from sort of writing about soccer and writing about fantasy sports into writing about poker? Is it the same skill set? Are there different elements that the poker editors want you to hit? What's that transition been like?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. The first time I ever went to Vegas, it was 2022, and I kind of just wanted to test the waters and see how I was in the low stakes games over there, and also just to see Vegas for the first time.
Sure.
And I was at like a 1-3 table or 2-5. I forget what I was at, but somebody heard I was a journalist, and they were like, "Hey, you know, Poker News is looking for people for the WSOP," and somebody else is like, "Ah, they're always looking for people." Yeah, I had never been around poker at that time, so like, it's like, what's Poker News, you know?
Sure.
So had a look at them, and you know, they got me in for WSOP, and you know, my first experience in poker media was literally like 14-hour days, 6 days a week, 7 weeks WSOP.
Yeah.
Taking a big pay cut, just grind. And I was like, I don't know if this is for me, man. and then I got sent out to, you know, a couple more beautiful places to cover a couple other events like Barcelona and Cyprus. And I was like, okay, there might be some upsides here. It's not all bad. And yeah, after I cut ties with Poker News, like a month or two later, I got picked up by Katina Media, which is, you know, they're pretty big behind the scenes. They pick up a lot of people in poker media to do this or to do that. So I started writing, you know, some poker stuff, some like top 10 restaurants to go eat in Vegas kind of stuff,
sure,
you know,
sure.
some SEO shit. And yeah, eventually that evolved into the job I'm having now. But I mean, I'm more of a, hey, you teach me how to do something. It doesn't matter if I haven't done it before. I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to do it well. So I don't feel like there's ever been any difficulty transitioning. It's just I got to learn it first, and then once that happens, it's fine.
That's great. Now we're
to write
we're
about
already
what I love. You know?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Nice position to be in for sure. We're going a little longer than I'd planned. We've got a few more questions for you, Blaise. We can
Sure.
We'll wrap this up shortly. I know it's late over there in Birmingham right now. Talking about like transitions and working in the poker industry, I heard that you're also involved with Jaka Coaching. Is behind the scenes there. What are you getting up to with them?
Well, I was with them behind the scenes. Yes. I was doing stuff like making their daily quizzes, and yeah, there's a couple other behind the scenes things I was doing for them, but it was mostly, you know, knowledge based stuff like you know, when should you make an overbet on the turn, you know, option A, option B, option C, option D, that kind of stuff. And yeah, doing that actually helped my game a lot because it was like getting paid to study poker.
Yes.
Like, you know, so that was actually, you know, really important, you know, part of my learning curve. Like really, like as I was already beginning to live in Brazil, I'm taking the game seriously. I'm going to different stops, you know, actually doing a semi-full schedule for the first time in my life, but also that, and then also having access to Faraz to, you know, talk about the game, ask questions. I mean, what a valuable resource, right? For, you know, a player that's up and coming to be able to talk to somebody who I think he's now ranked like 200th of all time. You know, somebody like that is just unbelievable to have in your pocket. And yeah, still a friend of mine. Yeah, we hang out every time we see each other.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't work with them anymore though.
Yeah, that's cool.
I always will promote them for being an absolutely amazing coaching program.
Yeah, it just goes to show, you know, the difference between active study and passive study. You know, when you're actively involved, it sticks in your mind better. You retain the information better. So like, you know, teaching helping other people to learn is a great way to improve your own play. That's definitely true. Now you have we were talking about this just before we went on the air. Your girlfriend is also a very successful, serious poker player. She got a ring recently, and it wasn't from you. So you each have rings now, and so what's it like? Because most poker players have significant others who are not also serious poker players, and I think there's like a yin and yang to that has its own pros and cons. But tell us a little bit about sort of like the lifestyle, what it's like being in a relationship with someone who is also very seriously interested in poker.
Yeah, so I've been on both sides of the coin. So when I was in Brazil, I was with somebody who didn't like poker, wasn't interested in hearing about it. Eventually, she was a video editor, became a poker editor. Yeah, I got her into that sector. So she would listen to poker all day and then not want to hear a damn thing that comes out of my mouth about it,
Right.
Which totally understandable. But to now be able to, have open discussions all the time. I mean, poker is our life, we talk about it nonstop. We're planning, the next stops. We're going ring hunting this weekend and next week in Morocco, which is pretty cool. But yeah, being able to, like you said, active learning, like being able to talk about poker all the time. We could just be, out of nowhere, hey, what do you think about this kind of spot? And it can turn into a 2 or 3 hour conversation involving, GTO wizards, and still at the end be like, think you can agree with you. I can agree with me. And, it's kind of the beauty of poker where we have different styles of play.
Sure.
And that's okay. Like, I definitely consider myself a little, not even a little, a bit more aggressive on the table, and maybe even to a fault. Whereas she's a lot more technical in the learning, and that makes my game better. And I think it actually improves the both of us, being able to actively hear, multiple opinions, my own, hers at the same time. Being able to discuss poker like that all the time is just, it can't be anything but great for your game.
I love it. And is it Pocket Peg? Is that right?
Yeah, Pocket Peg. You can, if you go to her Instagram, at pocket.peg, I believe it is. Yes. You can actually see us doing a whole bunch of skits recently. We just went to EPT Cyprus. We've been doing some funny stuff in the house. She just got picked up by Coin Poker.
Oh, nice.
As an influencer for them, which is really cool. Yeah, and she's just been absolutely killing it with them in her first month so far. And I know they're looking forward to what's next, and so am I. Couldn't be more proud.
And is it true you guys met at a poker event? I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we met at Tournament of Champions. Actually, she won the ladies event at Dusk Till Dawn in the same month in March that I won my ring in Brazil. I won a 6 max PKO, the very last event of the series, one that I wasn't gonna play. But yeah, it was funny. Like, my friend Paulo from Brazil was also there because he won a ring at the same series. He brought his dad. Peggy had brought her dad, and I was actually bringing my mom to LA on vacation, just like pure vacation. And this is the first time I'd ever done something like this with her. So it was real cool, and we were all in the same boat. So we were just all hanging out, and yeah. And she was going to Vegas like an hour before I was flying to Vegas as well. So, we went to Venice Beach in the morning, took a plane, and then, played in the pits in the horseshoe at night.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah, and it's been great ever since.
Nice. Well, we're getting to the end of the interview here. If anyone else has any more questions for Blaise, get them into the YouTube chat real quick because we're going to close this up shortly. John Somsky, you had one of our last questions, and then we'll get into stake, study, stack, and closing the action with our speed round.
Yeah, I have a question. So you've talked a lot about your poker extracurriculars, but what about poker itself? What are your goals on the felt? What would you like to achieve in poker? What does success look like?
So I'm not trying to be a Triton guy, but I just want to be playing regularly the 1700 circuit mains, the EPT mains, the WSOP main, a bunch of stuff at WSOP, and just play as high of stakes as possible. Just like when I want to be able to go to a series and play just about everything, whatever I want to play, whatever I feel like playing. And for the most part, at the moment, I probably do play about 85-90% of the events available to me, if I can, outside of a full summer slate at WSOP. I'm not there yet, but if I go to a small circuit stop, I'll play everything. And basically I just want to be around, have a good time, and win, baby. I just want to win. That's what we're working for. I take the games. I might just be a chill guy globetrotting, but I'm also taking the game seriously. I've had some great results already, and I expected of myself. I even if you don't win because variance is going to kick your ass. I just want to play the best I can every day. Limit my mistakes, and that's all you have control of. You limit your mistakes, and you combine that with luck, you're going to have a few good days. And those days, you have 100 bad days, you have a few good days on the felt and makes up for it immediately.
Nice. All right, well, we're going to end the interview with our stake, study, stack, and closing the action. So that means, folks, if you're in the YouTube chat, start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat to be entered into our raffle to win a prize. And I just want to mention that the reason we do this every week is just a way to raise some awareness about the fight against food insecurity. And supporting a local food bank is a great way to make the world a better place. So just pull your smartphone out right now and Google food banks near me. You'll find some organizations that can really benefit from a few dollars out of your pocket, a few volunteer hours out of your week, or some non-perishable food items from your pantry. So all that we ask is that you just start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat now, and then we will draw a winner at the end of the show. And they are going to win either a free month of RecPoker Premium membership, or we were talking about Jaka Coaching earlier. If they're already a RecPoker Premium member, they will win a month of membership at Jaka Coaching, one of our learning partners here. So one of the great things about being a RecPoker member is you get access to all these fantastic learning partners that people like Faraz Jaka, Ryan LaPlante, Sky Matsuhashi, Jonathan Little, Matt Berkey, all these guys that run these fantastic training sites out there. They share their material with our premium members, and it's just one of the ways that we all kind of learn together. So start typing the words food bank in, and we'll choose a winner shortly. So for stake, steady, stack this week, Blaise. So I'm going to give you 3 names, and you have to choose one to stake in a poker tournament or a cash game, one to study with for your own benefit, and one that you'd like nothing more than to just steal all their chips at the table, just stack them right there on the felt and crush their dreams. So the 3 names that I'm giving you, TJ Reid, my brother from another mother, Faraz Jaka, and Pocket Peg. These are the 3 names. Who are you going to stake, who are you going to study with, and who are you going to stack at the tables, brother?
Well, I've Pocket Peg and I already trade action, so I'm gonna stake her. I've already studied with Faraz quite a bit, so I'm gonna study with him, and I'm gonna stack the shit out of my boy TJ.
Nice, good choice. I think those are good answers. And here we are. We're going to close the interview, closing the action with the speed round here. So you have to imagine that there is a very dramatic clock ticking noise in the background. We're not going to produce it for you right now, but just to add some drama. So these are lightning. This is the lightning round. You can say pass. I don't want you to feel really uncomfortable. I'm mostly just looking for the first thing that comes into your mind when I cue you up here. Okay. All right. Closing the action with Blaise. First question is an easy one. What's your favorite poker hand?
King, queen suited.
Nice. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Skill game.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
People that act too slow.
Yeah. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah, of course. I watched it this year.
Nice. Is Ace King a drawing hand?
It's a drawing hand, but you got to go with it.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Hot dog's a hot dog. No.
What about like a hoagie or a submarine sandwich? Is that a sandwich?
Nah, hot dog's its own thing. It's a class of its own.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Fuck it. They got to be as lazy as possible, man.
I had a feeling I knew where you were going to come in on that one. And I agree with you, for the record. What's one thing you're afraid of?
Failure. I don't do regression in this house. So regression / failure. Just don't allow it in my life.
I love it. Good rule to have. Is a royal flush a straight flush?
Yeah.
What about an open face sandwich? Is an open face sandwich a sandwich?
No. The open face sandwiches, unless it's like the only exception I'll do is like turkey or roast beef with like mashed potatoes and gravy on top of it. Oh. Otherwise, there's no need for an open face sandwich anywhere on this earth.
Okay, this is a man who speaks with conviction. He knows what he likes. What's your favorite brick and mortar poker venue? Like, what's your favorite place to actually go play cards in real life?
My favorite place. You know what? I just don't have one. I haven't had a steady place where I don't think I've ever had a steady place where I played cards. So no, I'll give a shout out to the Club de Poker in Natal. I enjoyed playing with those guys, and that was about 75 minutes from my house. Bunch of low stakes tournament. Always having a good time. Go there for the weekend. Yeah, I love it there. But
nice. Yeah, sounds like they made an impression. This doesn't have to be the player you respect the most, but who's one player you respect and why?
That's a good one. Eric Seidel, because he's been doing it for so long at the top level. And even now with all the young kids, the adjustments, the GTO, the studying, everything else, he's not only just still there, he's teaching pros like Maria Konnikova how to become total crushers out there. So I mean, he's probably one of the guys that are doing the most and not getting talked about enough. And hell, he's one of the best ever. He's got 10 bracelets now? Yeah. He doesn't get mentioned enough in the GOAT conversation for me, but nice. Somebody who goes about his business, just nice, friendly, all about respect. Seidel for me.
No, I believe you. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Fuck no, man. Absolutely not. I'm from New York. You kidding me with that question?
There's a yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Speed up, baby.
It's the final table and it's getting late. Are you pro chop or no chop?
Absolutely not chopping.
Doesn't have to be your favorite music. Nope. Yep.
I've got, unless the money would change your life, it's not about getting late. If the money will directly impact your life, off the table right then and there, or if it's, or if you're playing for a crazy pay jump, like a, Millie versus 600K and something, then sure, do a chop. But if you're playing for like, for me, if I was playing for like 20K up top, I'm not chopping.
What's name one musical artist that you really enjoy?
CCR, man.
Yes, brother. Nice. Love it. All right. What about a calzone? Is calzone a sandwich?
Oh, sandwich. It's not a calzone's not a sandwich. Just making me think about calzones. That's all. I haven't had one in a while.
All right. Last sandwich related question. What about an Oreo? Is that a sandwich?
It's a cookie with some artificial shit in the middle, man. It's not a sandwich.
No, you're very clear on what
very delicious artificial shit, though.
You're very clear on what a sandwich is. I appreciate that. All right, who is your poker nemesis?
Don't really have one. I just try to be friendly with everybody at the table, but let's say TJ Reid for the sake of it.
All right,
my roommate all summer at WSOP. And we may have a big project, the two of us, coming with a big company out there. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Okay, I'm excited.
Very near future.
Nice. All right. Well, keep my ears pricked for that. All right. Last question. Someone comes up, and Blaise, I know you're going to say that, like, you would do everything the same because it's led to you where you are today. But someone comes up to you, they've got a gun to your head, and they're saying you have to go back and make one life decision differently. What's the one thing that you would do differently?
Learn how to cook more food. I'm already a pretty good cook, but I would learn to cook even more. And then 1B, maybe study chess a little more. But I don't have time for it now, but I think I'd do chess a little bit more.
Right on. Well, this has been great. Just doing some quick math here. I got you at 737 points. That's an excellent score, Blaise. Congratulations.
Is this like is like where the I forget the show, but where the point
Whose line is it anyway with Clive Anderson? That's exactly what it is. You had it. You nailed it immediately. You're actually the first person who's just pulled that out of the air. We've been doing this for a while. But yes, it is inspired by the Clive Anderson method of calculating points. It's a proprietary algorithm we use back here. It's very sophisticated. You know about stats. It's a very, very, very complicated algorithm. All right, Blaise, this has been so much fun, man. Thanks for staying late. Thanks for staying up late over in Birmingham there. Thanks for coming on the show and making this happen. Thanks for being such like a fun, genuine, life-loving, poker-loving dude. It's great to get to know you a little better.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. And I'd be remiss to say it's pronounced Birmingham over there. If I didn't correct you, I'd hear about it tomorrow. So,
right. Yeah, good point. I'll make sure that I use the phonetic spelling in the show notes, so we won't make that mistake again. Blaise, if folks want to
sometime, and $100 to the food bank of your choice, by the way.
Oh, awesome, man! I appreciate that. I'll make a note of that, and we'll connect on that offline. If folks want to get more Blaise in their lives, what's the best way to do it? Social media, a newsletter, a YouTube channel, something like that. What's the best way for folks to connect?
So my Instagram is @PokerBlaise, BLAISE. Twitter, I've been a little inactive lately, but I put stuff on there time to time still. It's @Blaise Bourgeois. And then if they want to invest in my action, I'm on Stake Kings. I've got a trip coming up this weekend to Marrakesh to play the circuit stop over there. I'll be firing everything and trying to win a ring over in Africa. That'd be pretty sweet. So that's the mission here. So if you want any of that, you can go over to Stake Kings right now and
That's
get a little piece of your boy.
That's very cool. I'll make sure that those links are all in the show notes here. So if you're listening along and you want to get involved, all you have to do is click. And yeah, you've got some great flags on your Hendon mob already. Let's keep the collection going, man. I think that's so cool. Good for you. Living the life.
I think I'm at 8 now. I think I'm at 8. So gotta keep it moving. I saw that the record was like 50 something.
No, yeah, you got a ways to go, but I believe in you.
I think I can crack top 10. I think getting to 30, 35 is extremely doable.
Bump it up that life goals list a little bit. I think you can make it happen. I've got faith.
Goals. I don't really set them. I'm just here for the ride, man.
Well, this ride's been a pleasure, and thank you for your generous offer to help support a local food bank. We'll make that happen in the next little while, and just keep on being awesome. Well, you have a fantastic start to 2025, my man. You deserve it.
Oh, you too, and it's been my pleasure. Thanks, guys. I'll be happy to come back anytime you want me to.
All right, we'll be talking again sometime in 2025. That's the interview, folks, with the one and only Blaise Bourgeois. Very excited to be able to share some of his globe-trotting, poker-loving story. We have run long, so I think we should probably just race through some home game results, John Somsky, give away a couple prizes, and bounce on out of here, because we got to go record the forums edition of the podcast in about 10 minutes, so we better hop.
All right. Well, we had our very first No Limit Hold'em Championship Series for 2025, and Mudslinger 1942 Jack Pastel got his first win for the year. Mezzodana Dana Craven got one on December 30th, got one of the last wins of the year for the Daily Nightly event. Ship and Flick Breck, Luke O'Driscoll officially won the last tournament of 2024 for his 5th nightly victory for the year. Rabman 50 Rob Washam won the first nightly event of 2025 for his first win of the year. Poker Geek MN and John Somsky got a win. K Poker Wannabe Ron Payton got his first nightly victory for the year.
No surprise there.
Bone Crusher 14 Marcel Dusick got his first international victory for the year. Ivor Big One got his or her first international victory for the year. And Keck Geek, that's Keck Geek Senior for those keeping track, got his first LPP victory. And this is his 48th lifetime victory. So he's only 2 away from the Silver Lifetime Achievement Club. So Keck Geek Senior, you can contact info@rec.poker for your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
That's right. This is one of the perks of playing in our free Play Money home games. The games are free, but the prizes are real. And every Sunday, whoever wins gets a free month at Learn Pro Poker, compliments of Ryan LaPlante and the great crowd over there. So congratulations to Mr. Keck Geek Senior. Send that email to info@rec.poker, and we'll get you all set up with your fantastic prize. And some other big names in there. Some RecPoker Crew members making waves to close out the year. Fantastic. Thanks for all you do in the home game club, John. Speaking of home and games, I just want to shout out quickly. We are going back to Running Aces. It's going to be RecPoker weekend at Running Aces on January 30th, 31st, February 1st, and then 2nd. On the Thursday night, we'll have a dinner of some kind or some drinks, maybe a cash game. All day Friday and all day Saturday, there's a series of tournaments that are running. Special RecPoker tournaments. We're going to be giving away some bomb pots, splashing pots, giving prizes away. We're going to have a mystery bounty tournament on Saturday, I believe. We're going to benefit a local food bank. We're going to have a bunch of drinks. We're going to have some shared meals. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I would encourage all of you just go to rec.poker/events, and you can find out more details about RecPoker weekend at Running Aces, or you can go to runaces.com and find out more about everything that Running Aces has going on all throughout the month of January and February. And let me see, I think we can give away our raffle winner. So the way we're going to do this, we've got, it looks like Joe Asinine Bovine, K Poker Wannabe, and Joe Rafter are the 4 names that have gotten into the and we got Eric at the beginning. That's right. Good catch, John. Good catch, Rob. And we did get Joe Rafter at the end there. I don't know if we can add one more name in.
Yep, we absolutely can.
All right, perfect.
Got it.
And if the winner is not a RecPoker Premium member, then they'll win a free month at RecPoker. But one of the perks of being a premium member is you unlock a whole new tier of prizes. So if the winner is already a RecPoker Premium member, they've won a month at Jaka Coaching. So good luck to all of our contestants. Let's click and spin the wheel, Rob.
While the wheel is spinning, I got to say the producer's fired for letting you talk about sandwiches again. Done.
Did get a few extra sandwich ones.
We're getting rid of that producer. He's done.
All right, Joe Raptor, no stranger in the winner's circle here. Congratulations, Joe. Send that email to info@rec.poker to claim your fantastic prize. All right, folks, anything else that we want to nail here before we roll on out? Doesn't look like it. So I want to thank our guest, Blaise Bourgeois. I've been struggling with that one today. Of course, our great supporters at the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino for all that they do. Rob Gardner, John Somsky, Joe Coolis for RECing Crew members that were putting in their time here in the YouTube broadcast. All our YouTube chatters, of course, at home. And everyone who's listening along, our audience members who tune in every week. Thanks for doing what you do and supporting what we do here. We couldn't do it without you. So have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the RecPoker Podcast. Good night, everybody.